Welcome to Inspired Living in Puerto Vallarta. I'm Barbara Lapointe, your host and realtor with a heart. I am delighted to chat with experts, pioneering entrepreneurs, change makers, and key influencers to bring you just the very best of Puerto Vallarta and beyond. Today, my guest is relocation expert, Margaret Keays. Margaret has helped literally hundreds of expats relocate from Canada, the United States, and Australia, and their relocation dream has been safe and successful. She has tremendous and comprehensive support for relocation, including online seminars, online sessions, a Mexico resource portal, coaching and consulting, and I want to talk about it all. Welcome, Margaret.
Thank you so much for having me, Barbara. It's such a pleasure to talk to you.
I'm very excited to really dive deep into this important and relevant topic. And I'd like to begin with the why. Why are, and we know statistically, why are record numbers of Canadians and Americans moving permanently to beautiful Mexico?
So the answer to this question may surprise many of your listeners because, and this is strictly from my perspective, and I will be talking about the clients that are coming to me personally. I will tell you that probably 95% of people that came to Mexico through me or were thinking of coming to Mexico were looking into living here due to political, socioeconomic, and political instability, perceived instability. So in countries like Canada or the United Kingdom, where during 2020, 2021, 2022, there were many rules that were brought in that seemed very restrictive to my clients, and they were looking for a place where they could live their life and not be so restricted. So that is traditionally been the number one reason for people who want to move here. As far as Canadians, huge reason is people are fed up with the winter. As trivial as it may sound, it is actually it's actually a huge deal for Canadians, and it was a huge deal for me. I just want to be in the land of perpetual summer, as I call it, and be able to work out outside every day and maybe have a garden and all the kind of things that are not quite available in most Canada. And number three reason is people want to improve their quality of life, because surprisingly to many people, again, you can have a higher quality of life in Mexico for the same amount that you're spending in your home country. There's huge difference as far as property taxes, food expenses, not to mention real estate. You can live in an absolute amazing penthouse that would never be available to you in the country of your origin, or you would have to pay 10 times as much. So the quality of life is also a huge reason for people to move here.
That's a very important factor, because time is our coin to spend, and quality of life is a really beautiful factor here. I recently read one of your posts, and I always do. I love all your content. And you were saying that you could go for a massage for about $25 USD.
Yes, it's a full hour massage at a spa. So so this is comparable. I'm not talking about going somewhere on the beach where there's just someone set up with a table and you don't know the person. No, this is a whole full-on spa experience. A simple massage. Yes. With the music, with lovely oils, with well-educated masseuse. Yes, that's the number three reason, the quality of life. So I know some people who go for massage twice a week.
Absolutely. Why not? It's great. And I'm used to spending about 120, 125, and then the gratuity for an hour's massage in Canada. So
Yes, yeah,
uh,
that's
it's a,
that's the reality.
that's the reality. So let's just take a second here, if you don't mind, and recap. So fed up with the Canadian government. I had
Uh-huh.
to put some emphasis on that, and sometimes fed up with our winters. I know it's really cold in Canada today.
Is it? Oh my
Mhm.
goodness.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not
Even
even checking anymore. I'm not checking anymore.
it's even too cold to go skiing. My daughter couldn't go skiing today.
Wow.
Yeah, so an extraordinary climate experience here in Mexico, and I love the way you describe it as a perpetual summer.
Yes, that's what it is. And I love when people tell me that they just want to live a better life. They want to do things they've always dreamed of. They would only get, let's say, for 2 weeks out of the year. They want to have it once a week now. It's because it's such an expression of self-love and self-care. And so that's always inspiring for me. That because
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Any other reasons why that we can add on? Like what else?
For
Why
sure.
else?
Many people move here, well, many people retire in Mexico,
Okay.
right? And so Mexico is just such a perfect location for not just for snowbirds, but for people who want to be here full time. But they don't want to miss their families too much. They still want to have an easy access to their home country or hometown where they can just take 1 4 hour flight and be back with their family members, or bring their family members here. That's also another reason. I know quite a few people who purchased large properties here, oceanfront or with an ocean view, way too large for them, but they love hosting their family members. So they have family reunions at their homes. They have cousins visiting, and then parents visiting. There's always someone visiting in there. So it's I think it's just wonderful for families to share lifestyle and to share what they have in that way. So it's a great location. The time zone will be the same, almost the same as in Canada and in the United States. So ease of communication. If you're working online, if you're working for a corporation based in Canada or United States, it's very easy to do your job if you're on the same time zone. So Mexico is really very, very appealing, and it's really worthwhile mentioning that Mexico is not. It's not really a third world country. The level of culture here is absolutely amazing. What I found in little Mazatlan, that is just a little colonial town on the west coast of Mexico where I live. The level of culture, the Philharmonic Orchestra, the ballet, the opera, it's just astonishing. I can't, and I've been to places like La Scala. I've seen world class ballet performances. So to be comfortable and to be satisfied with the culture here, it's just such a huge deal for me.
That's
So
a point I never really thought about. And it's a really good point. I know during COVID in Canada, I missed theater and culture the most.
yeah, well, we had it all happening here. We had ballet, small and larger performances. We have a wonderful historical theater here with just wonderful performances almost all year long. They kind of shut down during the hot season, dry season, because it's really hot and many people flee out of town. So
Wow.
yes,
That sounds wonderful. And I know that you're really happy living in Mexico. You kind of naturally started to move in the direction of my next question, but I was going to ask who are the folks living in Mexico? And you mentioned people who are retiring, snowbirds.
I'm seeing a huge inflow of families with children. sometimes 3 generations coming in, selling everything in Canada, and coming in and settling in Mexico and buying properties in Mexico.
Gosh, that's fascinating.
Yes, lots of people are, I would say, influenced by the love for their children and seeing what's going on with the educational system in Canada and the political direction that the country is going into, and economic direction. People don't feel safe for their children to grow up in there. People
I
seem afraid for their children and trying to protect them and bring them here.
So really thinking about their future and the kind of family legacy they can build out here.
Yes, and you have access to Montessori schools, Waldorf schools, private pod learning. So there are really nice options here for the children. And I think it's maybe still projecting into the future, because right now I find Canada it's still probably quite okay, and you can still homeschool or you can monitor your child's education. But many people are concerned about the future, maybe a few years from now, what's going to happen and how is it going to affect our children. So I'm seeing lots of that recently.
I absolutely couldn't agree more. And I'm also receiving inquiries of similar tone as well. And yeah, and then to build and deepen what you're saying, I think there's also amazing private schools here. There's English schools here. There's bilingual schools here. There's even a Canadian school. So a school that follows Canadian curriculum right here in Puerto.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So there's wonderful, rich educational options here. I wanted to check in with you because I know it's probably a question that resonates with maybe somebody who's listening today. I wanted to bring focus to it, but I think the question maybe has to be asked. Is safety a concern in Mexico?
Absolutely. And safety is a concern anywhere around the world.
Okay.
And this is actually a number one concern that people have before moving here. And I was wondering why. And I concluded that there's been lots on the news. When you hear a news piece coming in about Mexico, it's usually shooting, cartel, and Netflix movies about cartels. And then you have Hollywood movies where the average Mexican is connected to some kind of mafia or cannot read. There's just been so much propaganda out there about Mexico that has really warped the perception of what this country is about. And I remember myself coming here for many years for vacation and just staying within an all-inclusive resort and being a little afraid to venture out at first because then curiosity took over. And I remember being told by, I don't know where I heard it from, maybe just this government advisory or whoever booked my trip, beware, don't leave your resort, it's dangerous, you'll be robbed, you'll be kidnapped, and all that kind of stuff. It's really not like that. You can be mugged anywhere in the world. You can be kidnapped pretty much anywhere in the world. There are certain rules that you need to understand before coming to Mexico, and you need to kind of follow. For instance, if you're walking in a place that you don't know much of, you're venturing somewhere in a new neighborhood, just pay attention. Just simply pay attention to where you are. Orient yourself. Know where you are. Pay attention to people. How are they behaving? How are they acting towards you? Your intuition inevitably is going to point you in the right direction. It's just that there are bad people everywhere. There are bad people everywhere. And I know that the crime rate in large cities such as Acapulco or Mexico City, it will really be huge. But just for example, I'll tell you, we had a carnival here. The third largest carnival event in the world was in Mazatlan. Just 2 weeks,
Really?
tons of people from all over the world and from all over Mexico came in. We did not have any shootings, any disturbance. In the meantime, at the same time, New Orleans, shootings, people died, stabbings, and all that stuff. It didn't happen here. So that also makes you think, well, makes you reevaluate the whole concept of safety and the myths that are circling around about Mexico. So I have actually, you mentioned my portal. I have actually a whole section on my portal devoted to safety, how to stay safe. How do you make sure you live in a safe neighborhood, in a safe home? What are the precautions you can take? And again, never be too fearful, because that is something that's only attracting attention. And if you walk around being fearful and you just kind of broadcasting a vibe of a victim around, and you never know what's going to happen. But it's really not easy to get mugged or to get hurt here. Usually people are, as you probably have noticed, extremely friendly.
Yes.
We're hearing about shootings. I must mention that, because I'm not trying to paint a rosy picture here. I'm just trying to bring it down grounded, bring it to reality. We are hearing about shootings, Tulum, Michoacan. I think we had one here months ago. Every single time you hear about shootings, this is a criminal organization against criminal organization. So this is when we have cartels here, of course, and they are very territorial. And once in a while, there's a new organization that's trying to muscle in and take over a market, and that's when they have these wars. But it's usually cartel against whoever is getting into their business. So being just a normal, regular person who is not trying to sell any drugs or is not trying to get in competition with all that, they really have no business hurting you. Actually, it's in their best interest that the tourists feel safe.
I think it's good to hear that. You've brought to light some really good points. I always, generally speaking, feel really safe in Puerto Vallarta, and I've even compared some of the stats to crime in Alberta versus Puerto Vallarta, and Calgary was actually higher on real Canadian statistics for crime. So sometimes you can, just by checking the reality, you check some stats. But really, really good points, Margaret. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
You have an amazing portal. It's such a resource. What other services do you offer? And I would love to hear, and I'd love for you to tell us about the upcoming information session on March 12th. So the floor is yours.
Wonderful. Thank you, Barbara. So maybe a word about the portal. The relocation portal is a resource for people who want to do it yourself. So it's a do-it-yourself relocation tool where I put in all the information that I found people had asked me about the most, including how to not get overwhelmed. That's a very important one, and I'm actually starting off with that one on the portal, because 95% of people who are thinking of moving or are organizing themselves experience some level of overwhelm and sometimes freeze. So there's a tool for them and the solution box where they can examine themselves and free themselves up so they can organize their relocation better. Apart from typical information about how to set yourself up, find a place to live, phone, banking, and all that, I also have a little tool on how to organize yourself. Because again, I'm coming from business background, and so creating schedules is just, it's a second nature for me. But I've noticed most of my clients don't really have that ability and don't know how to organize themselves. And being in the middle of the emotional kind of a turmoil, you kind of, your mind freezes. So that's also that kind of help is available there. So that's the portal. That's the do-it-yourself. And I tend to add things once people tell me they need more resources or different kinds of resources. So I just add it there, and yeah. So that's the number one thing. I offer relocation sessions. So sometimes some people prefer get the portal, but they want me to address their personal situation and come up with a strategy, because there's, depending on the situation, you there could be different strategies for your move, and depending on the situation in consulates and all that. So so I'm up to date with that, and I help people organize and create relocation plans so they are calm and they can proceed with assurance that they're doing the right thing. So that's two. And once in a while, I organize events online where I try to bring in Mexico closer to people's attention, but also dispel some myths and also give people a what I call a roadmap to a relocation. So I talk about all the things, or most of the things that are on the portal, more or less. And in the upcoming info session, I'm gonna be talking with Barbara, with you.
Yep.
We're gonna do something fantastic, something that I haven't done before yet. We're gonna tackle the three main topics in depth, which is real estate, to give people real good understanding of how to invest in real estate, because as we know, many people are trying to liquidate their assets and they don't feel quite comfortable with all that cash sitting up, put it into something else.
Such a big piece of the puzzle for folks.
Huge piece of the puzzle, where to put your life savings so they're safe. So real estate in Mexico is absolutely, it's a phenomenal place. That's where it's going to grow for sure. At least that's my belief. Number two, how to support yourself while living in Mexico. And number three, different paths through residency, Mexican residency. So these are going to be the three topics that we're really going to expand on, and we're really going to give people complete understanding of these three areas. And of course, I will talk about just little practicalities of how to find a place to live, different lifestyles, phone banking, healthcare, schooling, all that typical, and overcoming fear of a change. That's another big deal. So it's going to be a full-on seminar with a Q&A session at the end.
Okay.
People to ask their personal question applicable to their personal situation. And I think it's going to be great. Normally, I'm having a great time, and those Q&As really extend for about 2 hours sometimes, or people like asking me personal questions about my personal experience in relocating. And I know that can be very helpful, so I don't mind sharing that.
That's so exciting. Well, it makes it so much more real to know someone in real life, rather than just picking up a book or reading something on the internet.
Yes, absolutely. And I am very honest by nature, so I don't mind giving people the raw truth, the way I perceive it. And so it's always very animated. Those Q&As are very animated and very interesting and engaging.
I'm so looking forward to this. We've had an incredible response to this seminar, and Margaret, it's recorded as well, correct?
That's correct, yes.
So it's going to be very comprehensive, very engaging, and I think, the key thing is to have the support, and we're both going to be there to support every attendee. So, yeah.
You just nailed it, Barbara. It is so important. Imagine you're leaping somewhere into an unknown. How would you feel if you knew there's someone there to catch you? and to point you in the right direction. You're not going to be lost. You're not going to be alone. You're going to be taken care of, explain things to. It just makes such a difference. See, I didn't really have that, so I know how it feels to jumping into the unknown and hoping I'll land properly. And
Yeah.
I've been through that. I know this is not it's not easy at all, and it makes a huge difference to have someone on the other side and guide them. And in your case, to have someone to trustworthy that can help with the allocation of the assets, that's priceless. That is a huge peace of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, because it is a big decision, it is a big transition, and the least amount of time one can spend in fight or flight or in uncertainty or unknowingness is great. And I know you have a whole community you can tap into, the Mexican portal, and now we have this incredible seminar that you're going to be putting on March 12th. That's awesome. If someone wants to register for the information session, or they want to reach out to you personally, Margaret, how can they do that?
Best is to follow me on social media. So on Facebook, you can find me under Margaret Keays, or go to liberatedminds.net, or just email me. Are you going to be posting links in your?
Absolutely. I will put all of Margaret's information and the registration link in the show notes for people. Yeah, I will absolutely do that. So let's end on a fun note, because the food in Mexico is incredible, and all the fresh fruit. So Margaret, why don't you just tell me, like, what do you love to eat in Mexico, or what's your favorite food?
I really love barbacoa. And I must admit, so many people in Mexico remind me of Poland. I'm originally from Poland. So many things, the people, the sidewalks that are less than perfect here in Mazatlan. And barbacoa is a meal that is in Poland called goulash, and it's just a beef stew pretty much, but they add some of their local vegetables and sometimes pickled olives. It's just absolutely amazing dish. And eating is one part of the fun, but sitting outside with friends and enjoying life the Mexican way, it's where everything tastes so much better. And you have live music playing for you at the same time. That's just a cherry on top. And in Mazatlan, we're so lucky we can have it every day.
Wow, that is, you know what, I have to say, the music, the live music, you find music wherever you go in Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah.
You don't have to go searching to find any kind of live music. And that's been very, honestly, almost healing, like really uplifting. And it kind of makes fun, and it is very enjoyable.
It is healing. I remember during the darker times in 2021, 2022, Mazatlan was so lively with all that live music. And I felt like it was communicating to me, all is well. All is well. You can still enjoy life. Just relax, enjoy life.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm looking forward to March 12th, Margaret. Thank you so much for being part of the show and giving us your expertise, your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Barbara. And see you very soon.
Okay, we'll see you very soon. That's all we have time for today. I'm Barbara Lapointe, your realtor with heart. And hey, buying and selling in Mexico can be a hassle-free process when you have an expert and friend on your side. If you liked our show today and the content, why not like and subscribe and show us some love? So until next time, I'm Barbara Lapointe.
Awesome. Thank you, Barbara. Have a good afternoon.
You too. See you soon. Bye-bye.